Hi, boys and girls. My name is Sally Martinez. I'm a Rotarian and have been for a lot of years. I'm really happy to be able to read this book to you today, and let's get started. Chapter 29. When Stephen eased out the front door, he was wearing red pajamas and a gray sweatshirt. His light brown hair was mussed, and his eyes were bleary. The flashlight he was carrying sliced through the darkness. Have you ever gone outside with a flashlight at night and see the light slice through the darkness? The babies turned toward him and froze. Their eyes glowed like little moons. Flash squealed in fear. Stephen clicked off his light, and Flash seemed to calm down a bit, although he was definitely hiccuping. Hey, Stephen whispered. Hi, Samar whispered back. Oh, I said that too loud. Okay. Stephen sat down next to Samar. The babies watched with interest. Why do they come to you? Stephen asked. I don't know, Samar said. It's like magic. No, said Samar. I'm just quiet. They like that. Bongo flew down to Samar's shoulder. Hello, she said to Stephen, mimicking Samar's voice. Wow, that's amazing, he said. Yesterday I heard her imitate a doorbell, Stephen grinned. She gave me this key, Samar said, holding it up. I don't know what it's for. A diary, or a jewelry box, maybe. Or the world's smallest door, Stephen joked. For a while everyone fell silent, and the baby raccoons were still. At last Stephen held out his hand, revealing Samar's wish. I found this, he said. Even in the moonlight, Samar's blush was visible. She looked away. I'm sorry about that word, Stephen said. The word on the tree. We didn't. It wasn't us. Samar nodded. My parents aren't bad people. They're just afraid of things, Stephen shrugged. So are mine, said Samar. I heard my father talk about moving. If we can find a safe place to go, she said, gave a sad smile. If there is even such a place. I'm sorry, Stephen said again. The babies, sensing Stephen could be trusted, began to tussle and romp. Harold and the smallest. You searched for bugs, Rose Petal, and her brother. Oh, and the smallest you searched for bugs. Rose Petal and her brother, hot buttered popcorn, played tug of war with a long piece of grass. I'll miss them, said Samar. I hope you don't move, Stephen said. A light blinked on in Stephen's house. I should go. If my parents see me, I should go. Night, Samar said in a whisper. Oh, the things I wanted to say to those two. I wanted to tell them that friendship doesn't have to be so hard, that sometimes we let the world make it hard. I wanted to tell them, keep talking. I wanted to make a difference, just a little difference before I left this lovely world. So I did. I broke the rule. Stay, I said. Chapter 30. The animals gasped at me in astonishment. Even the youngest babies knew that don't talk to people rule. Bongo darted up to my top branch. Red, she cried in a strangled whisper. You can't. But I can, I said. What have I got to lose? But, as I was saying, I returned my attention to Stephen and Samar. They were staring at me, jaw drops, eyes wide, as frozen as Flash had been not long ago. We're dreaming, right? Stephen murmured. Right? At the same time, Samar asked. Is that possible? Pinch me, Stephen said. Samar complied. Definitely felt that, Stephen reported. Maybe it was a dream pinch, Samar suggested. Excuse me, I interrupted. I have 216 rings worth of wisdom to convey, and not much time. Stephen reached for Samara's hand. If it's a dream, at least it's a cool one. And so I began. I haven't always been a wish tree. It happened in 1848, long before I was surrounded by concrete and cars, when I was just a few decades old, still a youngster by Red Oak standards. No longer a lanky sapling, I was strong and solid, but not anchored to the earth in the way that I am now. This was a time like many other times, when hungry, desperate people sailed on crowded boats to settle here. Many of them ended up, as they always seem to, in my neighborhood. The blue and green houses were brown then, and filled to overflowing with new arrivals. Sometimes the newcomers were welcomed, sometimes they were not. But they still came, hoping and wishing, as people always do. One of our new residents was a young Irish girl named Maeve. She'd voyaged across the Atlantic with her 19-year-old brother, who had died of dysentery during the trip. Their mother had passed away shortly after Maeve was born, their father when the children were 9 and 12. Maeve was solid and plain, but when she smiled, it was like sunshine peeking through the clouds. She had a deep laugh, and her hair was brilliantly red as my finest autumn attire. 16, alone and penniless, Maeve shared a tiny room with 5 other immigrants. She worked night and day, cleaning and cooking and doing whatever. Maeve soon discovered that she was gifted at caring for the sick. She had no special knowledge, no secret remedies, but she was kind and patient and knew how to soothe a fevered brow with a cool cloth as well as anyone. What she didn't know, she was willing to learn. As time passed, word grew of Maeve's abilities. People brought her their sick piglets, their lame horses, their coughing children, their fretful babies, and always she explained that she wasn't sure she could help, but since people in the neighborhood were too poor to go to a doctor, they turned to Maeve. And since people believed she could help them get better, Maeve tried to live up to their hopes. When she succeeded, and even when she didn't, patients and their families would leave small tokens for her, like a whittled figure of a bird, a hairpin, a half a loaf of bread. Once somebody even left a leather-covered journal with a tiny silver key that opened the lock. When Maeve was out tending to someone who was sick, people took to leaving their thank yous in my lowest hollow. It was still a fresh wound, just a couple of seasons mended, but it faced the house where Maeve roomed, and not the street, and it was a safe place to leave a token of gratitude. That's when I realized that hollows can be good things for people, not just birds and animals. Little did I know how good. Thank you, boys and girls.